Buzz, what's happened with Madge? Story in today's Daily Telegraph. We're very concerned about you. I read the article this morning.
Why are you concerned, mate? Why are you concerned?
There was like this very confrontational phone call, and I'm thinking, poor Buzzy, you know.
Oh, poor Buzzy. You would have been cheering it, mate. You would have been cheering it.
I wish you recorded it, to be honest.
Oh, do you?
I'd play it to go to sleep.
It was a private conversation. That's why.
Well, you told the whole world, so
no, I did.
Be.
Look, I said to Madge, I'll tell you what happened. The Broncos are off to their worst start after 10 rounds in 4 seasons. So every year Kevin Walters was there. They were doing better after 10 rounds than what they are with Madge. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. I spoke to people around it and was told they went on a harbour cruise in a 5-day turnaround. They fly to Sydney 3 days early for a game. Yeah. They line up down at the wharf. They jump on this Anthony Bell luxury cruiser.
Sounds very stressful, Buzz.
Well...
Was there a treadmill on the boat or something?
Well, do you think it was a good idea?
I don't see the problem with it. With the boat.
Did you see any problem with their performance against the South Sydney side, minus Cody Walker, Jack White and Alex Johnson,
but
Cameron
what's the boat got to do with anything?
Well, what I'm saying is, mate, if that was his preparation to treat them to a day or a cultural experience...
It's called bonding.
Well, the bonding backfired, mate.
Buzz does have a point. Last year they were Hollywood, had their heads in the cloud, they were wearing all the fancy stuff, and then 2 days before a game, it's not a great look. If they were winning a lot, look, Braith, you've got to have a lot of... But some kids don't handle that kind of stuff.
Look, the conversation with Madge wasn't just... Hold on, the conversation with Madge wasn't just about...
That's all I was about to say, Boat aside, all right? We can disagree on that. The boat aside, you think there's a lot of issues there, and what else was the conversation about?
I spoke to him about player unrest and reports that, you know, the players are feeling flat.
Is there player unrest there?
Yeah, I think there is. I've got no doubts there is. I think they feel flat. I think there's people around there who think they're being overtrained. And I said to you when we were in Las Vegas this year... You did. And I joked about the army camp, but the players vomiting...
I've heard about it every day, every week.
Well...
I don't understand...
I knew you wouldn't understand it, Rudy.
No, Buzz, look, I've heard the same things as you, there's player unrest, right? Right. But 2 weeks ago, was it, they smashed the Bulldogs? Yeah. Where was the tiredness then? To me, this is not a physical tired. This is a mental... That club...
Why are they mentally tired then, Rudy?
Well, it's the same issue Kev had.
Why would they... No, hold on. Right? Kev was going better for these 3 years there after 10 rounds than what they are under Madge.
Like, these players, this playing group, were mentally weak last year. They're mentally weak
again. They had a lot of injuries. This is not the same.
Well, he's got no risk.
He's got no risk. No, I'm going to stick up for Kevy.
I'm not bagging... That's not bagging Kevy. I'm bagging the players.
No, but he hasn't had injuries yet.
But I'm not bagging Kevy, Gordy. I'm bagging the playing group.
He hasn't had injuries yet.
I'm saying that playing group last year were mentally... I thought they were mentally fragile, and I think they are again this year. Yeah. I don't think Madge has changed that. He may have tried.
Well, that's what he got brought in to do.
I understand that. I agree with you. He did. But it's obviously not done... He's obviously not done it.
So then there's 2 ways to go. Madge Maguire changes his ways, then he's not Madge Maguire.
Can I tell you something about this harbour cruise? I think it got back to South. I think it got back to Wayne Bennett, who's obviously got Broncos connections.
Anthony Bell was on the board.
Yeah, and Anthony Bell's a mad South man. I reckon Wayne said to his players, they're expecting such a comfort game this weekend. Please. You don't think that happened?
OK, I've had time to think about this. I think there's a hangover there from Brisbane, right? The reason Madge went there is because there's a soft underbelly. There's egos, and they need to toughen them up and build some resilience within the joint. Now, he's finding this job a lot harder than what he thought it would be, and he's got a lot more work than what he thought he had to do. You look at that game on the weekend, and he acknowledges that. I mean, I bumped into him, actually, the day after the game. He acknowledges that they're taking shortcuts, they're trying to score tries on play one. They're not building pressure, or they're not sort of controlling games and doing the tough stuff that what teams need to do to win. Now, you know, this is a big job. What did Brisbane come last year? 14th? So you're just comparing their first 10 rounds, all right?
Yeah,
so
I am, but that's all I can compare line on line.
There's a long way to go. You know?
Yeah, but all I'm saying, and you're backing Madge, and I don't mind you backing Madge, and the jury will be out.
I'm not backing him. I'm just I'm just saying that it's a big job up there.
But you seem to be doubting the fact that he might have upset a few players up there.
No, I'm not.
And he did upset players at the West Tigers.
Do you think Craig Bellamy and Ricky Stewart upsets players in the off-season?
But there's only one of them.
What do you mean?
So there's only one Craig Bellamy. I can't come out and coach like... And then
Serrano?
No, and then people... Well, didn't he go on the court?
Ricky Stewart?
Yeah, but then,
I'll keep naming teams that are going well, that are training hard, that are vomiting in the off-season, that are...
Yeah, but there's only one of those.
Vomiting
but that's Ricky.
I played under Ricky Stewart, did
Mate,
you?
but that's Ricky.
No.
Well, you do.
All I'm
Ricky
saying
can ask
is,
me
you're
something.
sitting here, you're doubting my story.
No,
and
I'm not
my
doubting your story. You're
report-
taking it personally.
No, I'm not taking it personally at all, Braith. You're saying, when I tell you the players are off him, right?
Yeah.
It is exactly the same. He was sacked
But maybe-
from his last two jobs for being off with players and running around the West Tigers dressing room with a baseball
What I'm
bat.
saying to you, Buzz,
and
is
at South where he
A
wore
baseball
himself thin.
bat? What is this? A
he
chainsaw
was.
massacre? Yeah, Buzz, listen, it's about Madge finding the balance there, right? Because I'm just giving you my point of view. Madge has got a lot of work to do and they've got to be better, and he knows that. But it's finding the balance for Madge. That's what he's got to do. He's got to train them hard and teach them some hard lessons, but at the same time, he can't lose the group. If you lose the group, you lose the team, you're gone.
And the point I was trying to make...
can happen.
Yeah, but Braith, I rang him yesterday with the intention of allowing him to take the column over, for allowing him to tell his story about how it's going on. And he didn't want to do that. And I can tell you, the way he spoke, and look, I gave it back to him, gave me an impression and an understanding of why he has relationship issues with players.
Fair enough.
Because
You
he
got the fifth
didn't
episode of Tiger
want, he
Town.
didn't want my point of view. And I said to him about his training techniques.
Yeah.
I said, if you looked at the NFL and their pre-season guidelines, if you looked at the EPL, oh, you wouldn't... And I can't quote his conversation because I guarantee
They're not
I
rugby
would.
league players either, Buzz.
No, mate.
You say NFL, mate.
Listen, Buzz, you've been pretty critical of him from day one, right? So do you expect to bring him up and him go, hey, Buzzy, how are you, brother?
No,
yeah,
I didn't.
It's not going to
I
happen.
wanted to be fair.
Yeah, and that's
I'll
fine.
repeat what I said,
Yeah.
that as a representative coach, right, with the Kiwis and with New South Wales, he's absolutely outstanding because they're 8-week programs, right?
They're 6-day camps.
And you've got the elite players, you don't have to skill them up, you don't have to train them hard and all that sort of thing.
Don't disagree.
Right? There's no question he's an outstanding rep coach.
Yeah.
But I had my doubts after watching Tales from Tiger Town and the F-bomb tirades and the way players went off him at South as well, whether, as much as the Broncos needed a hard edge, whether Madge was the right man to deliver that.
Too far.
It's 10 games. It's 10 games into the season.
Yeah.
10 games. There were players...
Kevy was gone last year after 10.
Gordy, there were players...
Kevy was gone by August.
Okay, there were players apparently they're off Kevy as well. This is a bigger problem than the coach. This club hasn't won a
whose fault
comp.
is it then?
The
Okay, well,
Brisbane
whose fault is it
Broncos
then?
have not won a comp in 19
whose
years.
fault is it
the
then?
biggest club in the game. This
The
is an
CEO sacked
endemic problem
whose
that's
fault
been
is
at
it?
that club for 2 decades.
But last year it was the coach's fault. So whose fault is it then?
Well, that's because it's easier to clean out the coach than to clean out a dressing room.
Right, well,
Gordy. It
whose
always
fault
has
is it?
been. Well, look, I just think this club's got cultural issues at the moment. They need, and Madge is in there and he's trying to fix it, just as Kevin
But he's
tried
not
to
doing a
fix it.
very good job.
Well, you're 10 games into the season. 10 games.
And a pre-season.
Oh, pre-season don't count, please.
I don't know.
We're 10 games into the season.
What do you mean? They were pre-season champions.
Look, there is a
I
good
think it's a
story
bit
out of it.
early. It's a bit early to go.
But like, the point I'm trying
This
to
is a
make,
mess.
right,
The season's
is
over.
only
Get rid of
Wayne
the
Bennett.
I'm just comparing it to
Only
previous.
Wayne Bennett can have his speech. Only Ricky can have his speech. Only Craig Bellamy can have his spray. Like, I've been coached enough. There's certain people talk a certain way and you get their respect. There's some coaches, Braith, and I'm pretty sure you've been coached by when you walk in and they try to have that speech and it just doesn't work for some reason.
And look, I'll say now, it's far too early to write off the Broncos season.
No,
far too early. They've got St George and then they've
Too
got
many
a
good
bye.
players. They still got the best
And
roster.
they have had a major positive late this afternoon that Ezra Mam has been cleared of a high tackle charge playing for, who did he play? In Q Cup
Magpies.
yesterday. And he will
South
play
Magpies.
5-8 this weekend against the Dragons.
Does he come straight back in, Braith?
Yeah, I think he's done it. He's done his time. He played last week. I think he comes in.
I was just a bit worried about you in that argument. You know, you
No,
seem,
everything's good, Buzzy.
I'm here spitting out facts and you seem to be...
No more cruises, all right? I'll ring Madge and make sure there's no more cruises.
Cruises.
Maybe on dinghies, not...
Maybe vodka cruises, are they all right?